Dr. Hussam Abed, you know, he was once affiliated with a few hospitals here in the city of Grand Rapids. Now he's looking at a few years behind bars, and he's not only facing that felony charge, he's also facing some serious allegations from several young women, two of which who were underage when they knew him. Now, this is that doctor, 52-year-old Hussam Abed of Sterling Heights. He was charged in Kent County District Court yesterday with one count of unauthorized practice of a health profession, which is a 4-year felony. He practices urogynecology, and according to this Free Press newspaper clipping, was, quote, a specialist in pelvic disorders. Lara investigated his practices and filed a complaint back on May 17, 2022, which alleged, quote, negligence, incompetence, and a lack of good moral character. Days later, they suspended his license. And days after that, the AG's office says Dr. Abed treated patients at his clinic. That is where the felony charge stems from. Now, the reason why his license was suspended in the first place stems from allegations from several young women outlined in the administrative complaint, specifically that Dr. Abed was using a gynecological procedure meant to treat vaginal prolapse improperly on minors. That complaint says that this is not the accepted or appropriate standard of care. Beyond that, one woman, age 19, reportedly underwent a hysterectomy despite there being no indication for that procedure. The complaint says the patient experienced severe pain afterwards and required a follow-up surgery to address complications. Spectrum Health, Metro Health, and St. Mary's Hospital all revoked Dr. Abed's hospital privileges after learning about these treatments.
My name is Maddie Figg. I went to a doctor named Dr. Abed. He performed an unnecessary operation on me. What he did was he performed a hysterectomy on me at 19 years old, and I didn't need it. I wanted to have kids, and he took that right away from me. I'm angry, upset, frustrated, confused as to why this would happen to me. If Dr. Abed was sitting right in front of me, I would ask him why he did that, why he took away my right to have a kid, and why he thought that was acceptable. I want him punished so I can never do this to another patient again. To make matters worse, his medical assistant accessed my medical records without my permission. This was after I found out that this procedure was unethical and unnecessary. Made me upset that he reached out to me personally.
In this Insider exclusive Network TV special, Justice in America, Maddie Figg's story, our news team is on location in Grand Rapids, Michigan, meeting with Stephanie Hoffer and Aubrey Sheramet, co-owners Hoffer and Sheramet, who are representing their client Maddie Figg to get justice against Dr. Abed and his employers, as well as update us on the current criminal and administrative proceedings against Dr. Abed. The Michigan Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs filed a complaint against the doctor alleging negligence, incompetence, and lack of good moral character. Despite being notified of his summary suspension, the doctor continued to still see patients. He was then charged by the Michigan Attorney General with a felony for continuing to practice medicine despite a summary suspension order against him. Aubrey and Stephanie have earned reputations as unyielding trial lawyers who repeatedly represent individuals and families against big companies and the Goliaths of the world and repeatedly win. They have earned the highest respect from citizens and lawyers alike as some of the best trial lawyers in Grand Rapids and Michigan. They have seen many innocent and hardworking people injured and killed by negligent and incompetent doctors, hospitals, and nurses. Their passion is problem solving. They approach each medical negligence case as scientists trying to solve a puzzle. They have seen many patients suffer needless injury. And because of that, they are driven to help people who have been harmed by incompetent and negligent doctors. Their goal to make medicine safer and more accountable, and of course, to get justice for their clients. This is the Insider Exclusive, live from Grand Rapids, Michigan. It is my great pleasure to introduce Stephanie Hoffer and Aubrey Sheramet to the show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Tell our audience a little bit about your firm, Stephanie.
Our firm specializes in medical and legal malpractice law. We are a small boutique firm, so that's all that we do, which gives us a lot of knowledge in that area and expertise.
Right. And you handle many cases like this. In fact, we're here today talking about a case that you're representing, a Maddie Figg, who is your client. Tell our audience who Maddie is, please.
Maddie is a wonderful young woman who unfortunately was treated by a doctor who talked her into a procedure that was completely unnecessary.
What procedure was that?
She had a hysterectomy at the age of 19, and it was unnecessary, and it's left her with unbelievable physical, mental, emotional trauma.
Why would he have talked her into this? What is the reason?
That's still an unknown question. Dr. Abed is being charged criminally and charged by the licensing agency in Michigan with doing procedures on young women of all ages that were unnecessary. So I think as more facts come to light, it'll be interesting to see really what his intent was. But what we do know is that he's really harmed a lot of women.
Yeah, let's talk about what's going on with his doctor's license, his medical license, because when he performed this procedure on Maddie, was his license suspended at the time? Because it is right now, right?
It was not suspended at the time. Maddie's case, though, thankfully brought Dr. Abed's behavior to light. Maddie, after she had seen Dr. Abed for some time and underwent her hysterectomy, sought treatment from a different doctor here in Grand Rapids, and that doctor realized what was happening and reported Dr. Abed to the license.
The only thing that I can think of with Dr. Abed is it was for the money. Just curious, what does a hysterectomy, what do they bill that at? Do you know?
Not that significant.
Which makes this an even more unusual situation because unlike a cardiac surgery, hysterectomy or pessaries are, those aren't very expensive. Yeah. But what is interesting and what we found with several individuals that we're representing in these cases is he did bill full evaluations for each time the patient came in, when most patients are taught to insert and take out the pessaries themselves. So, it'll be interesting to see what comes to light in the other cases and in the administrative case in terms of how much that billing adds up over time, each patient coming in each time, if it really is a billing.
Tell us the situation, how the Attorney General of Michigan got involved with this.
Well, I think it's the same in terms of when Maddie first reported the case and when her doctor and physical therapist reported the case, they started looking at it from a perspective of, is the use of pessaries on young women, young girls, is there some other reason that the doctor is doing that?
So we are going to attempt, of course, to resolve it with as little difficulty to Maddie as possible because she's already gone through so much. However, in the event that we do need to file suit, we are pursuing action against not only Dr. Abed, but also his employer, Grand Rapids Women's Health. Like Aubrey said, we are in the very beginning stages. However, what we have learned so far suggests that this is a pattern that had been going on for quite some time. And we find it difficult to believe that a doctor in a relatively small practice can be doing such atypical procedures over a length of time without anyone at the office knowing. And in fact, one of the benefits of representing so many of his victims is that one of our clients did report him to another doctor at Grand Rapids Women's Health and questioned the treatment she had received and questioned Dr. Abed's suggestion that she have a hysterectomy and from what we know currently, Grand Rapids Women's Health did nothing with that information.
Yeah, they didn't fire him at all, did they?
They did not fire him until, well, and you're right, we're not sure if they fired him or if it was a mutual parting, but after his privileges were revoked or suspended from the hospital that they typically do surgeries at, they sent a letter or notice to his patients, and shockingly, they actually said, you know, come have your appointment with Dr. Abed now because he's going to be leaving the practice. So after his privileges were suspended at the hospital that they do business at, they allowed him to continue seeing patients.
We have with us today Maddie, so let's bring her on right now. It is my great pleasure to introduce Maddie Figg to the show. Welcome to the show, Maddie.
Thank you.
I'm glad you could make it today because this is an important case. Tell us about yourself and your family and a little bit about, you know, who you are.
I'm 20 years old. I am in nursing school. I work at a pediatrician's office. I live here in Grand Rapids.
Tell us your experience with Dr. Abed and how you feel about what he did to you.
I first met Dr. Abed in July of 2021. And I had my procedure shortly after in September of 2021. It's frustrating, to say the least, of what he did. I'm sorry that it happened to myself. Read about it on the news and think, oh, that would never happen to me, and it did.
Tell us about your lawyers. What kind of job are they doing and how do you like them?
My lawyers are doing a really good job. They're answering every question I have, walking me through the process of the case.
All right, well, let's hope the case is resolved soon, and I want to thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about, you specialize in medical malpractice and legal malpractice, but this is a medical malpractice case. Let's talk about, a lot of people think, you know, something went wrong with an operation, the doctor maybe lied, covered up, you know, what is medical malpractice?
The legal definition is a breach of the standard of care which results in a physical injury and damages.
Okay, now you have to prove that in a case in court. And the way you usually prove it is you have an expert and their side has experts, and so it becomes a battle of experts. So kind of define reasonable care. What does that really mean?
Well, it's what a reasonable physician would do in the same or similar circumstance. And experts, when you hire experts, they have to put themselves back in time of what that doctor knew at the time. And typically for physicians, it is a national standard of care. And so experts from everywhere should really be able to agree upon what the standard of care is for that physician, where, you know, things start to, both sides kind of fight over the facts and how those apply to the standard of care.
Okay, what should you do if you think that you have been the victim of medical malpractice, or somebody in your family or someone you know? What should you do first?
Well, certainly what you need to do is contact a lawyer, because there are time limits, and frankly the time limits are fairly short. It's typically 2 years, but that can go really fast, especially when you have to request medical records, look for experts. Your attorney needs a lot of time to review your case.
One last question, and I'd like both of you to answer this. When someone calls your office, and a lot of people do, they may believe they have a medical malpractice or a legal malpractice case, how do you determine whether you're going to handle that case or not?
Well, our paralegal, Emily, does an initial intake. There are certain categories of cases that we do not handle, so she'll just let them know if it's not in our area. Otherwise, she gathers a lot of information. And then because we are a small office and we are a boutique law firm, we do everything together as a team. So after that initial information is gathered, then we will roundtable the case as a team and make a decision as to whether we think there is potentially merit. And if there is, then we start gathering medical records. After we review the medical records, we have another roundtable to see if we think the case is worth pursuing. And then we would obtain expert witness reviews. And if those are favorable, then we would begin the litigation process.
And I want to bring up, Aubrey, that anybody that you decide you want to handle their case, represent them, it doesn't cost them any money, does it?
Right, we advance costs and we don't charge an hourly fee. And that is typical across the board for most medical malpractice attorneys.
Yeah, it's a contingency basis. If you win, you get paid. That's why you have to be real careful about the type of cases, because some of these cases can drag on, can't they?
They can, and we have discussions with our clients. We involve them in every step of, the whole process, because it can drag on, and it's an emotional drain for our clients as well as time. And so we really want them to be involved in making the final decision on whether it's something they want to pursue.
Well, I want to thank you both for being on the show, and good luck with this case.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. You can get more information about our guest and the issues at insiderexclusive.com.